One of my students inside my community asked me, Asim, how was your English learning journey like? Like, tell me your overall English learning journey, how you got started, why did you choose to learn English, which steps did you follow to actually become fluent in English? Like, what are the secrets to learning English which you followed that made you fluent in English? Like, share with me your overall English learning journey. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. The reason why I'm making this video is because maybe you will relate to my journey, maybe you will learn some lessons from it, maybe you will avoid the mistakes I made so that you become fluent in English a lot faster. So, I have been learning English for the last 5 years. I started in 2020, I suppose, yeah, around the time when the lockdown hit. So I was in school, I was in high school at that time, and suddenly the lockdown hit and our school shut down. So I got like a lot of free time at my home. Like I was like, okay, what am I going to do in this time? Because I don't want to waste it on doing something, like scrolling and other things. I wanted to learn something productive, and learning English was kind of always on my mind from the very childhood. Like my teachers were telling me English is so important. Also, before that time, I went to like an art exhibition. There was this Turkish woman there. She wanted me to write calligraphy for her so that she could take that calligraphy with her to Turkey. And I wrote, the names of her family, her father, her daughter's name, and her name on like nice charts with highlighters and things like that, with all of the calligraphy tools, right? So I did that for her, and she was thanking me in English because I didn't know any Turkish, she didn't know Urdu. So she was communicating with me in English. She was speaking to me in English. She was thanking me for all of the work I had done for her. But the problem was I couldn't understand any English at that time. I was like, I was just standing there looking at her and just nodding my head, not knowing what was going on. Finally, like one of my teachers helped me out and he translated some of the sentences she told me, and then I responded with thank you. I had like a whole response prepared in my mind, but I couldn't speak in English. So when that happened, and also when the lockdown hit, I was like, okay, if I want to communicate with people from different countries from people outside of Pakistan, I need to know English. I need to learn English. And when that lockdown hit, I was like, okay, this is the exact time where I start my English learning journey because this is super important. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you need English for getting a better job. Maybe you need English for, studying in the university. Maybe you want to learn English to make friends and connect with people from different countries around the world. Whatever your reason is, it's super, super important. You need to learn English and you need to know it because if you don't, you won't be able to communicate and talk to people from outside of your country. So that really got me interested in learning English, and then became the question, how? How am I actually going to do it? Because all of the English institutes and the schools were closed. I couldn't take any classes or anything like that. So I was like, okay, if I have a problem, I'm going to search it on YouTube. I went on YouTube and I searched how to learn English. And I remember I came across a video from a channel called English with Lucy, and in that video, she explained like an entire English learning process, an entire study plan that I could use to learn English. And I watched that video a few times and I noted down, the things I needed to do to learn English. Of course, my listening skills were zero at that time, even though like I knew a bit of English because I studied in an English medium school. Still, I couldn't understand the video without subtitles. So I was always using subtitles. I would, if I didn't understand something, I would look it up in a dictionary or something like that. And that's what I did with that video. I noted down like a plan for myself to learn English. I wrote down, I remember, listen to English for 2 hours a day and practice speaking for 1 hour a day. And I wrote a couple of other things as well related to vocabulary and pronunciation and all of the other things. But the main things I focused on and I got started with was listening and speaking. To be honest, I didn't really care much about my writing skills and my reading because I was kind of not interested in those. I just wanted to speak English fluently and confidently, and maybe that's your goal as well. So I started with listening and I started with speaking practice. At the very beginning, I would listen and watch YouTube videos because those were the easiest things and content for me to understand. If I started with watching movies, I would probably give up and get frustrated and just get discouraged. But I knew this rule: if you want to do something, take it one step at a time. And that's what I did. I started with watching YouTube videos with subtitles and with using like a dictionary to understand the difficult words. In terms of my speaking, I wasn't really confident. I was super shy to even say a word in English because I thought other people are gonna judge me. They're gonna think I'm crazy. What if I make mistakes and get stuck? I had all of these fears in my mind. So I started with speaking to myself every evening. I would lock my room door so that my mom doesn't enter and see me talking to myself like a weirdo. I just I would just lock the room door, and every evening for like 20, maybe 30 minutes, I would talk to myself in English. I didn't care about the mistakes or anything like that. I wouldn't judge like my speaking. I would just speak about a topic. I would choose a topic, I would think about it for a few minutes, and then I would start speaking, pretending that there were like some people that I was teaching to or someone I was having a conversation with, but there was nobody. It was just me and my mind and myself. So those were the two things I got started with: listening and watching YouTube videos and practicing speaking with myself. This got me to probably around lower intermediate level, like B1, I would say. With just these two things, I got to the B1 level. But at that level, like, no matter how many times I spoke with myself and no matter how many times I watched YouTube videos, my English did not seem to improve. It stayed the same. Most people call this the intermediate plateau. I have made an entire video about this, but it's real. Like, most people experience this, and I experienced it as well. I was going through it. So I thought, okay, if these two things are not gonna get me to, higher English levels, then what am I going to do? So I upgraded these two things, to be honest. So instead of like watching YouTube videos that were easy and designed for English learners, I started watching TV shows and movies. I started watching Friends. Friends is like this American TV show which I highly recommend you to watch. It's going to improve your listening skills a lot. The thing about movies and TV shows is that they're designed for native speakers, which means the English in there is very natural and very authentic as opposed to videos like this, right? So I started watching Friends. I would watch 3, 4 episodes a day, like for 1 or 2 hours. I would write down the difficult words that I didn't understand. I would look them up in a dictionary and then I would, you know, use those words in my speaking. So for my speaking, I started to make some friends. I joined different Facebook groups about my hobbies, about my interests. I joined books about reading novels. I joined books about learning languages, groups about learning languages and learning English. And inside those Facebook groups, I met some people. Some were kind of rude, but most of them were nice, and I became friends with them. I would invite them to have conversations and calls with me on either Messenger or WhatsApp, and that's how I mostly practiced my speaking skills and my conversation skills with other people. To talk to real people was kind of difficult for me in the beginning because I was so used to talking with myself, but over time I got used to it. I started using and applying my English in real life situations. So with these two, like watching friends and talking to other people and becoming friends with them, and by going hard on these two things, for like doing listening and watching movies for 2 hours a day, and then also practicing for 1 or 2 hours a day, after doing this for a few months, I overcame the intermediate plateau. I wasn't intermediate anymore. I wasn't stuck anymore. I probably got to maybe lower advanced or upper intermediate by doing these two things. Later on, I started incorporating more things as well. I became more interested in improving my writing skills. So I included reading books as well. I included writing in my journal and writing scripts for my YouTube videos in English. Now I don't do that anymore because now I just write bullet points and I just, speak off of the top of my head without writing word for word scripts. But the lesson and the point I'm trying to make here is that once I got to advanced level, I started using my English more. And this is so important. Most people learn English, they study it, they maybe have conversations with other people about in English, and that's about it. Like they never get to use the language English that they have learned. And making YouTube videos is a really fun way to use English because one, you're improving your English, you're practicing your speaking, and two, you're conveying a message, a positive message which can influence other people and change their lives. Now that I think about it, this was basically my entire 5 year English learning journey. Of course, there were like more details, and if I want to go into like specific details, it would probably be a 2 or 3 hour long video, but I don't want that to happen. So, overall, that was my entire English learning journey, 5 year English learning journey. And it doesn't stop here. Like, I don't feel like I'm perfect. I don't feel like I know every single word and every single expression in English because I don't. I need to work on my vocabulary. I probably need to work on my accent as well because it's not perfect. And English learning or learning any other language is a lifelong process. It never ends. It just continues because it's a never-ending game. There are two types of games in life. There is finite games and infinite games. Finite games are things like playing football or playing basketball or playing cricket. The goal of these types of games is to win the game. And then there is infinite games. Infinite games are they don't have like goal. You don't win the infinite game. You just continue playing the game. For example, starting a business is an infinite game because the goal is not to win at business. The goal is to continue staying in business. Going to the gym is an infinite game because the goal is not to achieve your dream physique and then stop. The goal is to continue playing the game, to continue weightlifting or doing whatever you do in the gym. And also, learning English is the same. The goal is not to just learn English and then never use it. The goal is to continue improving and continue using English. Now, what are some key lessons that you can extract from my English learning journey that can help you become fluent in English? The first one is if something is not working, change it. If you've been following a method for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years and your English is still not improving, change that method. You don't need to stick with it for 5 years or 10 years because if it hasn't made you fluent in 6 to 12 months, then that method does not work for you. There are so many methods to learn English. Some work for some people, others might not work for you. Some might work for me, and others might not work for you. So it's like there are a bunch of methods that you can follow that can make you become fluent. So if you've been following a method which has not made you fluent in 6 to 12 months, quit it. Quit it, change, do something else, follow another method. Follow my methods of learning. Try them, experiment with them for a few months and see if your English improves or not. See if you see and notice any changes, any results yet. If something is not working, stop doing it. Try something else. The second lesson is to find ways to make English learning fun. I believe if I didn't have a lot of fun in my English learning journey, I would have quit because English learning is hard. It's difficult. If you don't enjoy the process, you're going to give up, you're going to procrastinate, and you will never become fluent. So find ways to make English learning fun. Make some fun friends and speak with them to improve your English. Find out and, search for some TV shows or movies which you really, really enjoy. Watch YouTube channels which you really like. Do things to make learning as fun as possible because when you're having fun, you improve faster and you enjoy the process and you just learn everything better and you feel better rather than, going hard and if you don't like doing something, then force yourself to do it. That kind of thing doesn't work when you're learning English because, as I said, it's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong process. You cannot force yourself to learn English by following a boring method every single day for 4 hours a day till the day you die. No, that's not the type of method I teach in my videos, and that's not how you really learn English. Make it fun, make it enjoyable. Just relax, do the right things every single day, and after a few months, you will be fluent. The third lesson is to commit to learning. When you choose a method, when you choose a plan, commit to doing it. Most people just try something for a week and then after that they give up. They try something new. They're always chasing something new. It's called the shiny object syndrome. You find a method, you kind of like it in the beginning. After you do it for a week, you get bored and you find another method and then another one, and you end up in this weird type of cycle and you never truly become fluent and improve. Just find one method and just stick to it for at least 3 months. Before you change it, stick with it for 3 months. Don't change anything. Follow a method step by step for 3 months and then analyze it. Analyze whether you've had fun, analyze whether your English has improved, have you made any progress, how do you feel about this method, and then if it doesn't work for you, then change it. But once you start something, stick with it for long enough to see the results. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully you've learned something from my 5-year English learning journey, and yeah, see you in the next video.